Yuriy, the last couple of days have been very different from the days before, and they reminded people here just how much danger Ukraine is in, Ukrainians are in themselves, and there's no way we can really kind of put into context what's taken place. Can you share with us just what took place starting yesterday, and then move on to today?
Well, yesterday, I woke up not because of the alarm clock. I woke up because of the sound of a missile flying over the house where I live in Kiev, in central Kiev. Excuse me. And this was kind of petrifying because it's a very distinct sound, and you instantly understand that the danger is right here. And it was a sound which lasted, half a second, and then the next second there was an explosion. And that explosion in central Kiev, it actually happened less than 1 kilometer from my apartment. So it kind of became very real to me as well, even though I'm in this for 8 months now, and I by due to what I do, by the nature of my duties, I am daily inundated with such information. But even still, it was a bit of a wake-up call, because in Kiev for the last couple of months, actually, we have not had this. We've had air raid sirens, yes, pretty regularly, but we didn't have any missile strikes. And actually, many people, by some estimates, up to 2, maybe even 2.5 million Kievans who left Kiev earlier because of these threats, they've returned home with their children. And just to illustrate to you, the day before the actual strike occurred, and I'm sure you've seen the photographs of one of the sites, one of the places where the missile landed. And this was a children's playground in central Kiev. So the day before, less than 24 hours before that, I was walking past that playground, and it was full of children. Literally, there were maybe 30 to 40 children, small children, with their parents. So it's a miracle that, yes, this was early hours of the morning, but it wasn't like very early. It was 8 o'clock. So we were miraculously lucky that that playground was empty. And of course, it was empty probably because a lot of us had these gut feelings that something was about to happen. And it did. 84 missiles just during the first day, the day before yesterday. 84 missiles of different kind hitting different cities in Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense systems and air defense forces have been able to shoot down 43 of those missiles. But there is still another 41 landed and found their targets. They've targeted civilian infrastructure, our energy infrastructure, and they've targeted civilian people and places. As a result of that strike, and today there were another 30 missiles, more than 30 actually, and there were also dozens of Iranian drones, and the Ukrainian air defense forces are shooting down as many as they can. But because of the lack of the air defense systems, which we are asking our international partners to provide us with, of course, many of these missiles and drones are finding their targets, and there are casualties and there is destruction. So many cities across Ukraine and villages are now experiencing a power outage, the electricity blackout, because the whole power plants were taken out of action. Of course, the government is doing everything they can to quickly repair and bring back the light. But we've been warned that the blackouts are possible the government is asking everybody to save up on energy, not to use up too much energy, switch off all the appliances. So we are approaching winter. I mean, thankfully right now it's good weather, but if this continues, and it will continue if we don't get the air defense systems,
Right.
the winter will be tough.
Okay, let me ask you a few brief questions. Do you believe that this attack yesterday and the one today were retaliation for the Kerch Bridge, whatever happened at the Kerch Bridge, or was this something that was planned in advance, you think?
If you will allow me, let me answer this question by asking you a question. Now, what was the Bucha massacre retaliation for? What were the bombardments of Mariupol retaliation for? What were the mass graves that we found in Izum and Kupiansk? What were those retaliation for? So let us not try to rationalize the behavior of a terrorist state. It's been a terrorist state from day one of this aggression. Missiles are hitting Ukrainian cities on a daily basis. Yes, these last 2 days, there have been more of them than usual. But this is not something that just began the day before yesterday. This is something that's been going on for 8 months now. This is how the war started. Was it a retaliation on February 24th when Ukrainian cities were hit by these rockets? No. This was the nature of a genocidal terrorist state that needs to be stopped. And Ukrainians are honest and earnest when we say that we can stop this army of war criminals, looters, and rapists. We just need the weapons, and we need air defense systems to be able to protect our peaceful cities, because very little can be done when the missiles fly into peaceful cities like Kyiv, Lviv, Ternopil, Vinnytsia, Rivne, you name it.
The number of cities that were hit today, were there as many today as there were yesterday?
There were fewer today, but it was still devastating, and it was still very widespread across Ukraine.
So do you get the sense as well that this heavy bombardment is going to be a pattern moving forward? Can Russia sustain this, to your knowledge?
We don't have accurate information about the stockpiles of these missiles in Russia. But our president today, when he was speaking to the G7 leaders, he said that lately Russia has ordered 2,400 Iranian kamikaze drones, for example. Now, we also understand that Russia will be capable of producing new missiles. So we have no idea for how long Russia will be able to sustain it, but we have to act on the pretext and on the assumption that Russia will go on indefinitely until it is stopped by efficient air defense systems and by their efficient counteroffensive and punishment on the battlefield by the Ukrainian army. We are capable of doing both, but we need our allies to stand with us.
The counteroffensive that's been going on in the South, and I guess in the East as well, how will that continue? What's the status of that at this time?
It will not change. We will not slow down. We will not alter our plans. The objectives that have been set before our military are plain and simple. We need to liberate Ukrainian land from these occupiers. And, the counteroffensive continues regardless of the missile strikes, regardless of the fake referendums, regardless of the attempted annexation of our territories, regardless of the mobilization or the partial mobilization in Russia. So we will not be deterred. We will not be intimidated by these missile strikes. Actually, every rocket, every missile that is fired at our cities and our people only makes us even more determined to continue to fight. And this was what our Ministry of Defense yesterday made it very clear. We will not be intimidated. We will fight, and we will never surrender. And we are sure that Russians understand this. And everything they do is a sign of their impotence on the battlefield. They are desperate. They are demoralized. They are degraded. This is why they result. This is what the cowards do, and terrorists ordinarily are cowards. They cannot achieve anything significant on the battlefield. So it is, of course, energy infrastructure and civilian houses are a much easier target than brave Ukrainian soldiers who are, destroying Russian army by hundreds every day.
Very last thing for a brief answer. How has what took place yesterday and what's going on today, and I mean specifically the episode that you mentioned about waking up to that distinct sound of a missile, how's that changed you or impacted you?
It made me very angry. It made me furious. It made me determined. I'm with my people. I was walking in central Kiev just an hour and a half after the missile strike. I saw people in the streets, unafraid, resilient. Everybody believes that, we will win. Everybody believes in the Ukrainian army. Everybody supports Ukrainian army. Just so that you understand, there is this charitable foundation which has been involved in providing Ukrainian military with a variety of different types of assistance. So this charity foundation fundraises in the Ukrainian society as well as abroad, and then purchases certain items and then transfers them to the army. So it's the biggest one in Ukraine. They have started a fundraising campaign yesterday, and it was named very simple. We're fundraising for revenge. We're fundraising for revenge. And listen to this. In a country which is experiencing severe economic difficulties, you can understand that a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people, the well-being, the financial stability of people has gone down dramatically. But in less than 24 hours, Ukrainians have donated almost 350 million Ukrainian hryvnias, which is about 10 million US dollars or a million. I'm just trying to figure out the math, but it's a huge amount. And in less than 24 hours, this is incredible. So this is how it made everybody feel. Every Ukrainian yesterday felt enraged and determined to continue to beat this enemy and to bring them to justice.
Well, Yuri, good luck. I'm glad to hear about the fundraising. I read about that a little earlier, and good luck with that. Also, hope you stay safe, and we'll be back in touch with you in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, JJ. Speak soon.